Respected viewers, dear family of dreamers, before we begin, allow me to ask you something that may quietly change the way you look at your life. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to meet money as if it were destiny, while others keep chasing it year after year only to feel it slipping further away? Is it luck, or timing, or something far more silent? Something that grows in the unseen corners of discipline and patience. Because the truth is, wealth does not arrive loudly. It whispers. It tests. It waits. And sometimes, it watches how long you are willing to walk in darkness before it allows you to step into light. Beloved listeners, there was a time when even the idea of making a single dollar online felt like a distant dream, almost like trying to catch the wind with bare hands. I remember sitting quietly, staring at a screen, not knowing where to begin, feeling that heavy weight in the chest, the kind that comes when your desires are big, but your confidence is small. Money, or the lack of it, has a strange way of shaping our thoughts, doesn't it? It doesn't just affect what we can buy. It affects how we see ourselves, how we walk into a room, how we speak, how we dream. There were days when even small expenses felt like decisions of survival. When every rupee, every dollar had a story attached to it, and every loss felt personal, deeply personal, as if life itself was quietly reminding, you are not ready yet. And perhaps the hardest part was not the lack of money, but the fear of beginning. That silent voice whispering, what if you fail? What if you try and nothing happens? What if people laugh? And slowly, without even realizing, that fear becomes a cage, invisible, but very real. Dear family, the journey to my first $1,000 online did not begin with confidence. It began with doubt, hesitation, and countless moments of wanting to quit before even starting. I tried things that did not work, small ideas that seemed promising, but collapsed quietly, like sandcastles touched by waves. There were late nights, filled with hope, and mornings, filled with disappointment. I remember earning my first few dollars, not even enough to matter, but enough to spark something inside, a small flame that whispered, maybe, just maybe, this is possible. But the path was not kind. Mistakes were many, and lessons, they were not gentle. I trusted the wrong strategies, followed shortcuts, believed in quick success, and each time, the result was the same: loss, frustration, and a deeper understanding that easy money is often the most expensive illusion. There is a kind of poverty that is not in the wallet, but in the mindset, a belief that says, people like me cannot succeed, a belief that whispers, this is not for you. And unless that voice is challenged, no opportunity, no skill, no system can truly change your life. So slowly, very slowly, something began to shift. Instead of chasing money, I began to understand it. Instead of rushing, I began to observe. Instead of reacting, I began to think. Because wealth, true wealth, is not built in moments of excitement. It is built in moments of patience. When no one is watching, when results are invisible, when progress feels painfully slow, I started small. Painfully small. Learning one skill at a time, making one mistake at a time, correcting one habit at a time, and perhaps the most important lesson was this: consistency is far more powerful than intensity. You do not need to change your life in a day. You need to show up every single day, even when it feels pointless, even when it feels like nothing is working. There were weeks when nothing moved, no earnings, no progress, just silence. And in that silence, the mind plays dangerous games. It tries to convince you to quit, to return to comfort, to accept less. But something inside refused, not because it was strong, but because it was tired. Tired of staying the same. Tired of dreaming without action. Tired of watching life pass by. And so, the journey continued, quietly, patiently, imperfectly. I began to focus not on earning fast, but on building something real. Something that could grow. Something that could last. Because the goal was never just $1,000. The goal was to become the kind of person who could earn it again, and again, and again. And then, one day, without noise, without celebration, it happened. The number on the screen changed. 3 digits became 4. $1,000. It did not feel like victory. It felt like realization, a quiet understanding that this was never about money. It was about becoming disciplined, becoming patient, becoming someone who does not quit when things are slow or uncertain. And in that moment, I realized something deeply important. The first $1,000 is not difficult because of the money. It is difficult because of the person you must become to earn it. And that transformation does not happen overnight. It happens in silence, in struggle, in moments where no one is clapping for you, but you continue, anyway. And perhaps that is where true wealth begins. Not in the money itself, but in the quiet reshaping of who you are becoming, moment by moment. Because after that first milestone, something unusual begins to happen. You stop looking at money as a miracle and start seeing it as a process. A slow, deliberate, almost predictable outcome of the habits you repeat and the discipline you protect. Dear family of dreamers, this is where most people misunderstand the journey. They believe the first success changes everything. But in truth, it only reveals everything. It reveals your weaknesses, your impatience, your hidden fears. And most importantly, it reveals whether you were chasing money or building character. Because making your first $1,000 online is one thing, but having the mindset to do it again, calmly, without panic, without desperation, that is something entirely different. There is a quiet phase, after your first success, that no one talks about. A phase where the excitement fades and reality returns, where you realize this is not magic, this is work, this is repetition, this is showing up, again and again, even when the thrill is gone. And this is where emotional discipline becomes your greatest asset. You see, the market does not reward excitement. It does not care about your urgency, your desires, your timelines. It rewards patience, clarity, and consistency. There were days, after earning that first $1,000, when progress slowed again, when results became inconsistent, unpredictable, even disappointing, and the old thoughts, they tried to return. What if it was just luck? What if you can't do it again? But this time, something was different. Instead of reacting with fear, I responded with calm. Instead of rushing to fix everything, I chose to understand. Because once you truly learn something, deeply, it does not leave you. Even when results do. So I began to refine, not restart, to improve, not abandon, to stay, instead of run, and slowly. The second lesson revealed itself. Consistency is not about motivation. It is about identity. When you see yourself as someone who shows up daily, who learns continuously, who improves patiently, then your actions begin to align naturally without force, without struggle. But this transformation comes with a cost. There are sacrifices, quiet ones, invisible ones, moments when you choose discipline over comfort, moments when you say no to distractions, to easy pleasures, to temporary happiness. Because you are building something that cannot be seen yet, and that is one of the hardest things a human being can do, to stay committed when there is no evidence, to believe when there is no proof, to continue when there is no applause. Beloved listeners, there is a certain loneliness in this journey, not because you are alone, but because your vision is yours and yours alone. Others may not understand it, they may question it, even doubt it. But remember this: gently, calmly. The seed does not argue with the soil. It simply grows, quietly, patiently, until one day it becomes undeniable. And in the same way, your efforts, your consistency, your discipline, they are working, even when you cannot see the results. I began to understand money not as something to chase, but as something that flows toward value, toward patience, toward those who are willing to wait, and most importantly, toward those who do not break under pressure, because pressure is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Every failure, every delay, every moment of doubt, it is shaping you, preparing you. And as time passed, the journey became less about earning and more about becoming stable, calm, grounded. No more emotional highs, no more desperate lows, just steady, consistent, quiet progress. Because true financial growth does not look dramatic. It looks boring, predictable, almost unnoticeable. But beneath that calm surface, something powerful is building. A system, a mindset, a way of thinking that does not collapse when things go wrong. And that is when you realize you are no longer trying to make money online. You are becoming someone who understands how money works, someone who respects time, values patience, and trusts the process. And once that shift happens, something very subtle, yet very powerful, begins to unfold. You stop asking, "How fast can I earn?" and start asking, "How long can I sustain?" Because speed may bring money, but only stability keeps it. And as you continue walking this path, and quietly, steadily, without noise, you begin to notice a different kind of confidence emerging. Not loud, not arrogant, but calm, unshakable, deeply rooted. The kind of confidence that does not come from results, but from knowing that even if everything disappears, you have the ability, the discipline, and the patience to build it again. And perhaps that is the real reward of the journey, not the money you earn, but the peace you gain in knowing that you are no longer controlled by fear, or urgency, or doubt, because somewhere along this quiet journey, something inside you settles. The noise fades, the rush disappears, and in its place, there is clarity, a deep, steady understanding that wealth is not an event. It is a rhythm. Dear family of dreamers, there comes a moment, subtle, almost unnoticeable, when you stop chasing outcomes and start honoring the process. When you no longer wake up asking, "How much will I make today?" but instead, "What can I do today that my future self will thank me for?" And that shift, that gentle transformation, changes everything. Because now, your decisions are no longer driven by emotion. They are guided by wisdom, by patience, by a quiet confidence that does not need validation. You begin to treat money with respect, not excitement. You understand its nature, its flow, its silence. You stop reacting to every rise, every fall, every delay, and instead, you remain steady, grounded, calm, and in that calmness, something beautiful happens. Opportunities become clearer, decisions become easier, and mistakes, they become teachers rather than burdens. Because you no longer fear losing. You understand that loss is part of the rhythm, a necessary step in the long journey of growth. Beloved listeners, the first $1,000 was never the destination. It was an invitation to step into a new way of thinking, a new way of living, a life where patience is your strength, where discipline is your protection, and where time becomes your greatest ally. You begin to see that real wealth is not loud, it does not rush, it does not demand attention. It grows quietly, like a tree, strong roots, deep foundation, steady expansion. And just like that tree, your journey continues, not in a hurry, not in fear, but in trust. Trust in your habits, trust in your discipline, trust in the process you have built. There is no longer a need to prove anything, no urgency to impress, no desire to rush ahead, because you understand now, deeply, completely, that wealth is not about reaching somewhere. It is about becoming someone who is patient when others are restless, someone who is calm when others panic, someone who continues when others quit. And as you sit quietly, reflecting on your journey, from uncertainty to clarity, from fear to confidence, from struggle to stability, you begin to feel something rare, something valuable, peace, a peaceful confidence that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks, a grounded belief that no matter what happens, you will find your way again. Because you are no longer the person who was afraid to start. You are the person who stayed, who learned, who grew, and that is the true reward. Not just the $1,000, but the transformation that came with it, the discipline you built, the patience you discovered, the mindset you earned, and perhaps most importantly, the understanding that everything you seek is already within your reach. Not through shortcuts, not through luck, but through time, consistency, and unwavering belief. So walk this path, slowly, calmly, without fear. Let others rush, let others chase. You remain steady, because in the end, it is not the fastest who wins, but the one who never stops. Then sit with me, just for a moment longer, and let this truth settle gently within you. Respected viewers, dear family of dreamers, everything we have walked through together, every doubt, every failure, every quiet victory, it was never random. It was shaping you, preparing you, guiding you towards something far greater than money, because money, as powerful as it may seem, is only a reflection of your habits, your patience, your discipline, and most importantly, your inner world. The journey to your first $1,000 was never about reaching a number. It was about discovering your strength, learning to trust yourself, learning to continue, even when nothing around you gives you a reason to. And now, you understand something that many spend their entire lives chasing, but never truly find. That abundance is not created in moments of excitement. It is built in moments of consistency, quiet, repetitive, often unnoticed actions that slowly, but surely, change your reality. You have seen what happens when you choose patience over panic, when you choose discipline over distraction, when you choose long-term vision over short-term comfort. And perhaps the most beautiful realization of all is that you are no longer waiting for the right time. You have become the right person, a person who does not fear slow progress, a person who respects time, a person who understands that true success is not rushed, it is cultivated. So from this moment forward, walk with calm confidence, not in a hurry, not in doubt, but in quiet certainty. Let your actions be steady. Let your mind be clear. Let your vision be long. Because the path you are on, if followed with patience and discipline, does not just lead to wealth, it leads to freedom, it leads to peace, it leads to a life where you are no longer controlled by fear or limitation. And always, remember this, gently, deeply. The world may measure success in numbers, but true success is measured in who you become along the way. So keep going, quietly, steadily, without fear. Your time is not coming. It is already unfolding, one disciplined step at a time.